backcountry camp. We came to Victoria Bridge at Queen Elizabeth II Wildlands. And we're going to aim for a campsite that we've always said we're going to someday camp at.
Look at this way. Because last time we came down here and there's a park right there.
Yeah, because this is the way we came back a previous time. So we want to do that piece of trail backwards to get that campsite that is on the top of a cliff overlooking the lake. Hopefully nobody's already got it.
Okay, my knapsack right now is 38 pounds, yours is 43 pounds.
Okay, and it's 25% is the max, right?
No, 20.
20%?
Yeah.
Okay. So 20% of my current weight is 36 pounds, maybe a couple more.
Yeah.
And
mine should be a 27 or 28.
Okay, so we're pleasantly overloaded, right?
Yeah.
And the trail's over there. Okay, we're lost. And we're like 30 feet into the hike. Okay. Yep, there it is.
Okay.
So, the weather for this week has suggested bits of rain here and there, with a big bit on Thursday. It's currently Saturday. Let's see how that goes.
Did you jump?
Nope. This particular loop of the trail is called the Montgomery Loop. And on the map, it's on the upper side of the creek. Whereas if you go on the lower side, you hike down towards Otter Lake. So we have purposely decided to leave going on the upper side because we can camp at a campsite we've never been at before, which is one I described earlier about a cliff overlooking a lake, and you camp at the top of it. And we know there'll be a lot of running up and down getting water, but we're just hoping that we can actually use that site, that it's not taken. Certainly you couldn't have more than one party at it. At Otter Lake, there's room for, I mean, there's the one official campsite, but people then go either side down the lake, and there's other impromptu campsites that they use. This one we would have to continue on, I don't know, maybe all the way to Otter Lake, in fact, if it was taken. Right now, we had to stop. We've only just stopped and put on bug spray about 1 kilometer into the hike. There wasn't that much in the way of bugs when we started. Then they started building. And then we realized we can't even stop and mix up our homemade bug repellent. So we've used a bottle of chemical bug repellent. Probably has DEET in it. Oh, that made me sneeze when we started spraying it on us. Our own homemade stuff doesn't do any of that. It's just all natural ingredients. And you can hear the water flowing just down off to my right, but I doubt we can see it. Okay, we can kind of see it. It's quite a way down there and it's through the trees. And we still got a fair way to go, but we're thinking we might be at the campsite, say, within the noon hour. We stopped yet again, and the reason being, we decided that we needed bandanas because the sweat was pouring down our face, and when you put insect repellent on your forehead, that means your eyes sting once in a while. So regardless of how bad I look, this is going to make me feel better. And Jenny has gone for her hat to protect against sun because we keep wandering out into sunny sections, and she's got a bandana under there, I think. Yeah, she does. So We're gonna load up. This is our second break. We're really doing a lot of breaks. So this is our second one, and we are now gonna maybe even walk to the campsite in one shot. Oh, you should be okay. And you're up. We looked at a waypoint that I recorded on an old map, an old recording of a hike that came the other direction, and it seems like this is a place I recorded as being a campsite.
Maybe not.
I think so. So there's the trail marker, the blaze.
Yeah, it is.
Yep. I've always wanted to stay here, probably mostly for the lookout. Oh, it's a nice breeze here, because it is kind of a muggy day. The filled-in lake with a bit of a creek going through it, but, so there is water.
Water, you just have to go down to get it.
Yeah, that's not so bad. I thought it was steeper than that from my memory, but very nice view.
So this is right on the...
It's right on the trail, which means anyone hiking through would encounter the campsite, but I just don't think there'll be a lot of people coming through. So I thought I would do a tour of our campsite. The trail actually comes up right there by our stuff, and it goes off up that way, so we're right on the trail, and so you can almost see a tent in the background up there on the hill, and then I put a clothesline up there so we could dry our socks and bandanas. So we've got our cooking stuff there, and this time we were a little worried about a week's worth of power for our phones and stuff, so I brought a homemade very high capacity power bank, and it's currently charging 2 cells from the electric fly swatter and 1 battery from the camera. I've just filtered I guess that's almost 4 liters of water, and this is the remains. And interestingly enough, that water looks really brown. It wasn't, but I backwashed the filter into the bag, and it turned brown, which tells me that there's a lot of sediment, I guess, in the water. Now I got some water from down there, which is a Beaver dam, but I got it across the Beaver dam, which filtered the water that leaked through it. Got it from the little stream flowing out of it. But there was another creek, which I will have to go walk to be able to show it. You can hear it from here. And it's not as far down. And I felt that because the water was moving faster, it would likely be better. So the first place I tried to get in, it was full of sediment that was stirred up. So then I found another place where the sediment had been filtered out and it was just flowing nicely. So this is where we're going to stay tonight. Okay, tell me when. Let's take a look at the area around our tent. Day 2, we got away at 7:30. It's a very nice morning. It was quite cool last night, but very humid going to bed. And so we're just going down from where we had our campsite, down the other side, and then we end up going around a beaver dam down here, and then all the way up high again to the nearby cliffs.
Next time we know. This part is really hard. From there down, it's easy. When we go up.
Coming up this side, it's just hard to find the trail. And then the trail is very hard, so you really wonder if that's the trail. But we are just about up at the peak that we stared across at from our campsite. Look over there. Steam coming off that lake over there. It was like 16 degrees last night and very humid when we went to sleep at
we struggled down there
dusk.
for 20 minutes.
Oh no. Oh, that's terrible for our pace.
Yes.
This is the view from that big rock that was across from our campsite. Our campsite was where that big tree is all on its own, right by a ledge. But we camped just up behind it on some flat ground. And then down here is the little bit of a stream that flows over to here and becomes a beaver dam, where we got stuck trying to find the trail up here. But I kept saying to Jenny, this is where you need to come to get Wi-Fi or to get cell coverage if we're going to get it anywhere. So she was able to get the weather forecast, and I guess that means we have to get going so that we don't get rained out this afternoon.
No service.
Oh really? That's surprising. It sounds like a lot of water, doesn't it? Yeah, this is what they were warning as you enter the trail, that there's high water in the spring. And I guess it must come up over those rocks that you walk across to cross this river. So that's what's responsible for all the noise. And backed up by all these rapids here. You don't know how to cross it? I think you do it the hard way. Jumping between boulders. We'll see. So we're at a creek crossing, which is just before the fork, which ends this particular loop, and then we head in further to the park. But this is 2 half days of hiking, and we get to enjoy this wonderful babbling brook.
We finally get out in the woods. 3 hours in the woods.
Yeah.
With the heat.
Mosquitoes.
Lots of mosquitoes.
Some June deer flies.
Yes, and 3 hours in the woods.
Yeah.
That's not fun.
Not really. I mean, it's nice for the shade in the autumn, but in the summer, it's not so good.
It's really hot and
High humidity, hot. Oh, a bear. Wow. That's our first black bear sighting. Good morning, Jenny.
Good morning, Dave.
It's day 3. It's Monday morning. And this morning I decided to get the stick stove going to make coffee, and now it's making oatmeal breakfast. And it actually seemed to boil the water awfully quickly. I guess the wood was dry and the water was already quite hot because well, it wasn't that hot. It was cooled off overnight. We've been filtering Beaver pond water. And when you see all the stuff laying on the water, the lily pads and the beavers have churned it up because they're forever swimming in it, you get a little concerned about you know, exactly how drinkable is it. Well, to me the true test of the water isn't just the second you filter it. You let it sit overnight, it gets a little chilled, it sits, you taste it in the morning, and boy, this beaver pond has delicious water. Unfortunately, we've got half a liter left, and I've just freshly filtered another half liter, and I've got another 2 liters on the go behind the tent. And I went to the place where I've been getting water, which is a place that the beavers go in and out, and they had really stirred it up. Now, in the middle of the night, Jenny said she heard some rustling of a tarp that was laying right outside our tent. And she said whatever made it rustle got very scared and ran away. It may have been a beaver, and we certainly had a lot of activity in one of the places they get out. And this isn't it. The other place is a little too far of a walk. Now there's no activity here. They haven't come out of here in a while because that grass is all standing up. If you get a place where the beavers have come out, it looks like there's been a party there. They make a big mess. There's mud dripped all over the place. And that's what the other place looks like, where I went to get water all yesterday. So I was quite familiar with what it looked like when I went to bed. So we have this campsite to ourselves, and this is the only one in the area. One of the things you can do here is just sit and watch the beaver pond. You never know when, but at certain times of the day, there's going to be interesting things to see. Like, we were counting the number of beavers perched on various islands, and then you'd eventually see them move around a bit and then jump in. We were watching the beaver swimming around. Jenny tried to give directions to one of them as to where they should fix one of the dams. It seemed fine with that until I commented, then the tail slapped and it was gone. Not sure what is the difference between me and the beaver. Maybe Jenny just sounded more relaxed. So Jenny's got herself perched on this rock, looking out over this nice little part of the pond right behind our campsite. And so if she happens to see any beaver activity, she can then grab a picture.
Feeling in
the wilderness.
And it's an electric shaver. Takes the same batteries as my headlamp, and I can recharge them if I empty them.
It's good
which
for
I think I
7
will.
days.
Yeah, for 7 days, I imagine. We have laid out all of our electronics just partly to demonstrate and partly because we're going to be taking advantage of this laying out on the rock to get everything charged, since you tend to lay all over it in the sleeping bag at night, and we're going to stay here at camp. The first battery bank here, it's a battery bank made of recycled laptop cells after you take the battery apart. Right now it's charging the watch. That's almost done. Right now it has only one connector. I was thinking of adding more, but in the meantime I have this that can plug into it that will charge AA and AAA cells, like headlamps, and the fly swatter uses the AA's. So we can also charge the iPhone. And so we have traditional power banks. The first one that looks like a phone in a case is 3 charges. The next one there is about 2 charges, the little black one. The bigger white one is about 1 to 2 charges. It's a little older. So the idea is that we can keep our battery for our camera charged, where I don't have the charger actually laid out right now. Our headlamp batteries, the rechargeable ones, those ones in the elastics are all charged. We keep our cell phones and watches charged up. And so we had to bring all this just to give us enough current or watt hours to be able to do a 7-day hike. This is so pleasant here, look at this breeze and so on. But you know, the last couple of days have made a change to me. COVID-19, when you're in shutdown, for some reason nature decided that 19 was the number of pounds you gained, even if you tried to stay active. So I gained my COVID-19 and it all looked like an old man's bulge, especially after a meal. It was huge. Well, I've had breakfast and it's settled, and it's gone. And I'll tell you why. We started off the first day, I had a tiny little morsel to take my vitamins with in the morning. And we drove, and we hiked, and then we camped. And we got up the next morning, no breakfast, we hiked. Lunch was a pile of vegetables, but it wasn't a very big pile even. It was just enough to fill us up. We were starting to get rather nauseous. And then we continued on hiking. And guess what Jenny noticed last night? She said, oh, even after dinner, it's all gone. That would be 48 hours. Well, I set up the hammock. So now I am looking out over, in the shade, I'm looking out over the beaver pond. And it's all around me. And then I am right here, laying in the shade in the hammock. And the tent is right behind me. It's in the shade, and Jenny's resting in there. I'd say we're having a wonderful afternoon. So yours is a British book, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you started telling me the plot and I said, oh, that sounds so British.
I don't know, it's a British one.
Well, sounds British.
But it's happened in California.
Is it recent?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway. So this is my afternoon in the wilderness. There is absolutely no one here. We don't think there's anyone basically as far as we can imagine. We decided to bring fresh hot dogs. So Jenny, is this dinner or just a snack?
Snack.
Snack. Cool. That is quite the hot dog. Wow. We raced it over from the campfire to this shady spot so you could eat it in comfort. And I've got mine too. I'm ready to eat it. It's 7:38. What day number are we on?
It's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday and we started on Saturday. So we spent an entire day here.
No, I think it's August the 25th.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that sounds about right. We spent a whole day yesterday at this wonderful campsite right by the beaver pond that isn't marked on the map. I mean, the beaver pond isn't. I'm not sure about the campsite. And we decided to lighten our load by, near this campsite, we are leaving a cache of some things we don't need until we pass again by this way on the way home. So,
Oh, there, I saw that.
so we've cached
I think you need to make it a little bit higher.
a bunch of food and a bunch of clothes that aren't needed for until later.
Really, too low.
So Jenny, we took our first break. We're a third the way to the next campsite, so that's a reasonable distance, although it seems like we only just got started. And we just crossed this deep, is it called Deep Gully?
Yes.
It's not as deep as one of the gullies near Victoria Falls, but anyway. It's basically, there's a beaver dam to my left. We crossed there, and we had walked quite a way up the side of this gully and then crossed at the beaver dam, and now we're walking down the other way. And then we take off up there, and I guess in another hour or so we're going to reach our next campsite.
And this is the, why they call it Big Gully, because it's very long though.
Yeah, it's long and straight like a canal.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can almost see it there between the trees. It goes on an awful long way in that shape.
Oh, there, look.
You just look full of life, and
I feel like I'm sweat like crazy.
no, it doesn't show. So the day is overcast right now, but we've had our sunny breaks, and there's a nice breeze, which is always welcome.
I don't think I could when the temperature was like 30 yesterday.
Which
Do this trail.
this trail? It's harder, isn't it? Because it's quite cool, and I'm finding it very difficult.
The majority part is bushwhack.
I think we're half exhausted too.
Yeah.
The other thing is we left quite a heavy load back at the cache, and yet your backpack feels noticeably lighter. You said mine felt noticeably lighter, but in walking with it, I think I made up for it by putting the electronics bag on the top, and it's all out of kilter, but it's not worth for this short distance repacking.
You can repack though.
I could. Surprise, surprise, we walked further down the deep gully. In other words, we're coming back down the other side. You can see in the distance the gully. See right there, that's the part of the gully we were talking about earlier. And then the beavers came and did their magic, and now we have a gully with a different height. And then if we go down here, it's just amazing that nature would draw. I mean, this is like it's a canal, a man-made canal. It's so straight. See if I can find a place to look down. Okay, it looks like it takes a bit of a curve. I'm wrong. Still, it's quite amazing. This is basically the trail. That's what it looks like. Just a few footsteps through weeds. Lots of it's like this. And without a GPS, I don't know how people actually find their way like 30 kilometers along trail that's about as random as this. Every once in a while you come across a blaze, and you find a lot of times you're on a trail and it's wrong. So many people have walked down somebody else's footsteps and the person they're following was lost. Hey, it's a turn blaze. Well, it may turn up here a little bit. Yeah, probably here.
a very nice piece of trail.
Oh, this part, yeah, because it's a little more open. I mean, that is way over your head, that undergrowth. And all that while tracking along just below a beaver dam through the mush. Wow, that was an exciting piece of trail.
Oh, my boots are wet.
Oh, you got water in them. Jenny managed to get a soaker by stepping into a puddle by a beaver dam that was deeper than the boot. So of course the fact that it's waterproof doesn't really help. And she didn't have it done up tight enough for it to act like a cork around the ankle. So this is the second time doing this. You wring out the sock as hard as you can, put the boot back on. It absorbs the water out the boot in the next half kilometer, and then you wring the sock out again. Here's the trail, the Yaranaska Trail. It just crossed, although you really can't see it from the bush. There was a gully and a beaver dam right here. The beaver dam is, wow, that was challenging to get across. Those beavers were like, they must all be children. It really wasn't very well done, but it was holding up water, you had to admit that. It's just leaking everywhere. The whole thing was so gushy and mushy. So we followed the trail and we said, right, we came up here and there's a campsite here, but look, how on earth did picnic tables get this way? Right here in the middle of nowhere. We looked around and just tried to figure out where to set up our tent. We ended up here, which is now looking excellent. Problem with these two is there's a dead tree here. So I tried wriggling it just to see how stable it was. I believe I could push it over. So if you're close enough to this, you run the risk that in a storm it ends up on top of you. And Jenny's making lunch. Apparently I was bitchy all morning while we were hiking.
Yeah.
Until that point, where was it? When I took the backpack off? Oh, yeah, that would be it. Yeah, I guess yesterday didn't quite...
You were so bitchy just right over there.
I know.
So that we need to just cross.
Oh yeah, I just hated that crossing.
Where are you? I'm here.
Yeah, I know, and you wouldn't keep up to me.
Oh.
And I was just trying to get it over with and get the darn backpack off. I would have done the beaver dam at a run if I could.
You couldn't even find it.
Yeah, I know, it was really hard. It really was hard. And we did so much bushwhacking leading up, and it's not like we kept on finding a really wonderful trail that we somehow missed where it turned. There isn't really a lot of traffic there, and the weeds are way up over your head sometimes.
Yeah.
So
Most times the bushwhack.
yeah, so basically you look at all trails and you say, right, is it easier to bushwhack there or bushwhack there? And away we go. So I decided to hang the tent, or the hammock, and I gave myself some requirements. I wanted to be able to see the lake, beautiful Loon Lake, and I wanted to be shaded for the afternoon, even if it was cloudy. And so I looked around and I saw this ridiculous, on a cliff, well, it probably doesn't show, on a cliff case where two trees were basically the perfect distance apart. I guess they could have been a little farther. In fact, there is a farther one. I could have used that. And you're only a little bit above the ground, but in actual fact, it's a long way up from the lake and it's a steep cliff to get down to it. So I set it up, and you can tell that it's not that dangerous feeling because Jenny's in it. But it took her a long time to get down the cliff to it. And so from in the hammock, you can look out to Loon Lake, but there's lots of trees in your way, so in the afternoon sun there should be a reasonable amount of shade from all of that mess. Loon Lake. It's the place people keep reaching and trying to get to. That's an objective, because if you go
Like a bird on a tree,
direction, you're going to the other end of the park.
I'm just sitting
40
here.
kilometers from bottom to top and 30
I got time, it's clear to see. From up here, the world seems small. We can sit together. It's so beautiful, you and me. We meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free. Sometimes you need to go,
Follow you closer.
take a step back to see the truth around you. From a distance you can tell. You and me were meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free. You and me, meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free.
So we found this pot underneath a pile of firewood, and so Jenny wanted to use it. So what we've done is to fill it with water and put it on the fire, and it's going to boil for 20 minutes. And then we have to somehow get it off of there and dump it.
I washed it.
Yeah, it's been washed, and it'll obviously be quite sterile about now. And I was worried that with the fire burning down and stuff, if something lets go, it might actually dump over and put the fire out.
It's water.
But so far, so good.
There's no anything let it boil over. It's just water.
That's true. There's nothing in it that'll cause it to foam over. Yes, it'll just boil dry like maple syrup. Yes, Jenny keeps on telling me to relax, to stop fussing.
I don't know what you're fussing about. It's a pot. He's literally very angry.
Oh, really?
He's puffing his mouth.
Oh. I can hear him making a chirp. So right behind us is our tent. We're walking away. Yesterday was supposed to be 7 degrees overnight. And Jenny says it was 7 degrees on her side of the tent. I say
It's
It
weather
wasn't-
sad.
it wasn't quite that cold.
Yeah, right now you're cold.
Yeah, as soon as I got up and out of the tent this morning, and Jenny was saying, well, we got to take off the winter jacket and the night shirt and be down to the t-shirt and a raincoat, and I started saying, absolutely no way.
We're heading to Wolf Lake today.
So yeah, we can't go side by side because the trail's too narrow. So today is Wolf Lake,
Lunch there and then come back.
lunch, come back, and at that point we will have done this entire trail in this park, right?
Yeah.
Every inch,
Yeah.
every loop. This looks just like something out of a water feature store in a garden center. And you've even got all those rocks dripping over there.
So are we in the... No, we're not in the garden.
No. It's a sort of a little mess of a ditch. We just found a little bit of dew has started, whereas from when we left camp, we hadn't had any dew for the first 15 minutes.
Yeah, they're coming out. This is my favorite. Watch it.
Well, it's a bright sunny day, even though we're in the woods right now, but we're coming out into a sunnier area, lighter woods. It's kind of hard when you're walking straight into the sun to navigate, because you really can't see things properly because you're blinded by the sun.
I can see clear.
Yeah, it says turn this way. Oh, it is. Yeah, look. There's Trail and Blaze.
Oh, that very sharp thing.
Yeah. Now it's just regular woods.
It just has to be the bushes where you have to do.
Yeah, we do still have to do a really serious bushwhacking segment. No. My fingers are still numb at the ends. Yeah. Oh, there's dew here. Lots of it. Suddenly this trail has got into a very challenging segment. You're basically hiking over a pile of ancient fallen rocks. Wow. It's hard to do it while recording a video. You'd think there'd be another blaze. No, there's a blaze right behind me. This is definitely the trail. Oh, there's another blaze. Yep, we're on the trail. Well, that's, yeah, quite challenging. definitely would not want running shoes on for that piece. All the gripping on the slanted surfaces of the rocks. Well, that's got my body temperature up a bit. I haven't felt the need to take my raincoat off. Or, yeah, it's a raincoat, I guess. Since we started this morning. Now all of a sudden, I'm questioning it. So we're walking along, watching the map and saying, well, we should be seeing a lake soon. And then we caught sight of open water, which is hard to see through all the trees. Maybe it'll show up here. There's open water through there. So that's Wolf Lake, pretty much the start of it. So the trail's going to cruise along underneath it for a while till we hit our spot for lunch. And that would be the spot that we got to hiking from the other end of the Ganaraska Trail, I guess last year, and camped here. So we're just gonna have lunch. There's a, I guess it's a beaver pond up there, but what nature did before the beavers got there was to have all these rocks in the way of this creek. You can hear it trickling in many places.
These are cute.
Yeah, and then it's trickling over the rock there down into Wolf Lake. Okay, off we go. And the trail comes right out to the edge of the lake here. Yes. So this is the campsite that we were at last year. And the year before, I believe it was taken and we were doing a day hike. So we had lunch on that rock slope through the trees on the other side of the little bay there. So Jenny, here we are. This is the point, the farthest point we ever got to from the east on the Ganaraska Trail in Queen Elizabeth II Wildlands. Now we have made it to that point from the west. So we went 24.3 kilometers of hiking in just over 12 hours. And we're here. We've done the entire park, because on a previous trip we'd also done the Moore Falls up to the junction and beyond. So we are here. We've done it. We have done the park, finally. So we are sitting here on the edge of Wolf Lake at 9:30 in the morning, getting ready to have lunch. It's a bit early for lunch, but what the heck, we call it brunch. We're having beef, vegetable, and rice. It has to be this hard to get here for it to be so nice and enjoyable here. It's super, super quiet. There's no wind. Yes, Jenny, this is the trail.
You sure?
Yes, I am, because it's a little bit beaten on the forest floor.
I feel like a bush.
So So we're back at Loon Lake campsite. We left it this morning at 7:45 and we're back at noon. It seems to be a very pleasant day. It's not as hot as it's been in the past. And because of the upcoming weather forecast for a lot of rain tomorrow, and the fact that we had enough food to stay here until tomorrow morning and then head to hike, we thought maybe we should probably just go back to the Beaver Pond site where we have our cache of the rest of our food, and then spend the day there surviving the rain under a tarp in a tent, and then continue our journey. And we've just found out through you get these little spotty bits of internet coverage that are probably just accidents, but all of a sudden we had the forecast this morning. That's how we found out about the Thursday being worse, and we also found out Saturday is fine. So looks like that after tomorrow the rest of our vacation should be very pleasant. Okay, so we've had our lunch, I guess. So there's nothing to do. Just rest here for an hour and then pack up.
Yeah.
Do you want to use the tarp or the hammock first?
No.
Okay, maybe I will. So we just left the Loon Lake campsite and we are going to cross the beaver dam we used to get in here, but we're crossing at a different spot, or I guess it's a different dam. So this dam is keeping water upstream to my right. It doesn't have an awful lot of drop to the left. And I thought that one was keeping Loon Lake out of here. It's confusing. Yes, that's what I was getting at. I don't understand what they're doing, but it's maybe two families of beavers. That's my water. No, that's mine.
Big dam crossing.
Oh, okay.
This is the middle one.
That's really stagnant water below the beaver dam. And there's the beaver pond. And this one is a really mature, well, it's got a lot of grass on it. There's no trees growing yet. I guess that means it's not that mature. It seems to be really solid. And it's thick. And you can see the edge there, and you can see how far the trail is back on the dam. These guys made a really big one. And we're across.
This beaver dam made by Dave's dad.
Oh, because it was really good.
It's really good.
Good engineering job. We had a 7-degree night last night, and we're now retracing steps we made the day before yesterday. And I don't know if you can see it, but you will be able to on this one. We didn't see any signs of fall colors. So it's August. So, you know, you don't expect any, but there are just a few of these ferns getting their bright red, and they just are such a beautiful, brilliant red at the height of the colors.
I want to be ahead and keep filming.
So far, I don't think, filmed a field. So this is a wilderness field of ferns. So we just walked through it. It's got grass and well, weeds and stuff. But it's a very natural meadow. And It's not filling in with trees. And, oh, there's rocks at the surface here. When I say rocks, I mean the Canadian Shield. Like, it's all rock. They're very pleasant, these stretches. Depending on how much the sun's beaming down at you. And then you have stretches like this. It's rock covered in moss, crushed by hiker's boots.
I think that you bring my stuff here.
This is a place where I got lost? Okay, so that means that difficult dam is coming up again. Aha! In the middle of a beaver pond, there's that island with the tall trees on it. That would be such a cool place to camp. Can't get to it.
You probably
Yeah, we could canoe over maybe. Okay, and now we're at the Beaver crossing again, Beaver Dam crossing. So if this is the bad one, yeah, I think this is the bad one. Okay. Jenny's just coming across another beaver dam. This one, the trail goes down behind it because they're still building it in the front there, building it up, and it's really gooey. I could even see fresh beaver prints in the mud on the top of the dam, so they were probably at it in the last 24 hours or so. Look how thick this field of ferns is. It's like walking in up to my armpits in ferns. Walking on a bed of dead ferns. If it were a really dewy morning, that would get you really soaked, but on a day like today, it's very nice, very pleasant. I know, yeah, like you'd only have to leave that a couple of weeks and it would probably grow over, right?
Yeah, sure, like,
yeah.
I believe every day there's one or two people.
I think so.
Crossing it.
There's this big gully here, and it ends here. Well, it doesn't end, but at this point in the gully, there's the Beaver Dam. So that's what the dam looks like from behind, where it's holding up a body of water. This guy's got about 4 feet that he's holding back. So we now have to walk down behind the dam to do our crossing. And when we get to it, it's nothing but a tiny little bit of a brook.
Is this your infinity pool?
No, it's at the other end of the park, the one I'm thinking of.
No, I know this is not, but this is
The same look as an infinity pool.
is that an idea?
Yep. Oh, okay, oh, more leaks. So there's a place where water is either seeping through or they've got like an overflow. And you can hear some gurgling under there.
No, here.
Oh, it's right down there. Oh, yes. Okay, and we're across. This one was a bit of a tough beaver dam because those trees are just so trying to push you into the water. Wow. We got back to our beaver pond, expecting that there would be rainstorms by now, but there haven't been. We set up a tarp that gives us a great big kind of backyard to the tent, where we could do things like cooking and that. We may have to camp here like all day tomorrow. I've been filtering water, and we've got the laundry out until the second it rains, and we're just making dinner up at the fire pit. And Jenny's, apparently the mosquitoes keep finding her, even though she's all dressed up. They can bite her through her clothes. They're amazing. They hardly touch me. Dinner's done. We're just letting it sit for a bit, and then we're going to eat it. So, what do you think, Jenny? We're camping. That's about it right now. Eh? Well, it's been all week, so I have gathered up all my stick stove sticks right here
I can see there's a mosquito just following you.
in a bag. And the idea is that I could run the stick stove even if it rains all day, and even though the sticks that I would break up would get all wet in the rain, I have some dry ones. But I probably should get more. Jenny said she felt that what I'd gathered were the small dry ones that are kind of hollow and light. It would probably, she said, it would just be a big puff of smoke and they're all burnt. So this is our beaver pond. And our beavers, for some reason, are extra quiet this evening. It's still light enough that we could take videos, but they won't come out and play. There was one out earlier, and that was it. And then I was doing something, and I suddenly spoke to Jenny, and then all of a sudden there's a big splash out here. And he was gone. So I'm not seeing any action at all. It was so much not last night, but the night before we were here. So obviously when we got to Wolf Lake, that was the end point. We turned around, we've been hiking back, covering our tracks again ever since. And that's what's going to happen for the rest of our trip. So we're thinking, depending on weather and so on, we may do another night over at Coon Lake and enjoy that one, or could even get back to the car a day early. Possible tomorrow, depending on the weather, we may be just sitting here all day under our tarp. So Jenny, it's Thursday morning. This is the rainy day.
Yeah, we had it all night raining.
It rained all night, and as soon as day broke, it petered off and stopped. But of course all the trees are wet. So we are having breakfast under our, in our tent, under our tarp.
In our tent.
In our tent. And it's a nice hot oatmeal breakfast. And the day isn't all that unpleasant. It's not really cold. There's a bit of a breeze. And it's certainly not hot. So this is what it looks like from inside the tent, looking outside. So there's breakfast being dished up. We have a tarp that goes out about 12 feet from the tent. It's held up by the Jenny's hiking pole. We've got our knapsacks in the garbage bag, we've got the boots sitting there, we've got the clothes bags and other assorted things around under here trying to keep dry. It's been raining for almost 24 hours, and so somebody is doing her annual let's make a fire in the rain. So last day it's second last day theoretically. But we're going to try and make it to the car all in one shot. This is our last time this holiday at this beaver pond. It's a L-shaped beaver pond, and we are at the corner of the L with beaver pond all around us. So off we go. Jenny is waiting here to join me. Well, it certainly was a nice night, and it's a nice morning, but yesterday was definitely moist.
Today's supposed to have a lot of mosquitoes.
Well, so far we've had a storm of mosquitoes. This is the trail we're on right now. We're heading towards the junction at the end of the initial loop. So we're heading back from our beaver dam. And this isn't really thick woods, but the sapling growth on the forest floor is quite thick. We've come through the woods and we've approached the place where the upper loop of the trail coming from Victoria Bridge meets the junction where you either continue on out to where we went, towards the other side of the park, or you can go down to Otter Lake. So this is the junction, and we now have to decide. Well, we've already decided we're going to go towards Otter Lake because that's the section we didn't do, and it's also shorter for getting back. It's the Blue Side Trail. Oh, good. So this is Otter Lake. We've been here before. We planned to stay here tonight, make it our last night, and then head back reasonably short distance to the car. However, after coming here and setting up lunch, getting a glimmer of data, we checked the weather again, and it still wants to have rain starting at 8, thunderstorm all night, rain tapering off tomorrow afternoon. We decided, let's just go back to the car and drive home today.
But my food is really good. This is our dinner. After dinner, we have no food. So tomorrow, we're supposed to have dinner, and then tomorrow, we're just hanging out.
Keep in mind though, we can have this as a picnic for dinner.
And
on the
that
way
means
home.
we cannot say, oh, we stay Saturday because we have no food. And then leaving on Sunday.
Yeah, we can't stay longer. We're leaving Otter Lake. Jenny's decided to try my backpack. She said she always used to use this backpack, and she thinks we used to pack it about as full as we do now. So she's kind of wondering if she can still carry it. We will see.
Yeah, somebody's shoulders have
It's certainly at the limit for me, or it was coming in, and I guess it is now that I'm worn out. Okay, bye-bye Otter Lake. Here I am above that part of the rapids, and this is where it really starts to go. And you can barely see a bit of the bridge, the little metal rusty thing at the top. A lot of weight. So, we just did from last Saturday
So this Friday,
until today is Friday, 6 days of hiking.
7 days.
Oh yeah, 37. Okay. Covering 47.6 kilometers of trail. We spent 22 and a half hours moving, and it was 23 minutes and 19 seconds per kilometer to walk it.
We spent 6 nights in the wilderness.
And a total of all of our uphill climbs, excluding the downhills, was 1.8 kilometers of straight up of elevation. Oh,
We only had like one day it was raining, we didn't hike. Another day it was too hot, we didn't hike. That's Victoria Bridge. The car is right there. We're done.
ah.